Hello.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are for our intern and volunteer experience at OLLAA panel. Just as some context, OLLAA offers a range of opportunities for participation, as we all here know. So, through internships and volunteer time, individuals can get experience working in a nonprofit advocacy environment. Specifically, OLLAA is interested in encouraging youth to get involved in nonprofit work, and especially for the upliftment of our Oromo community. So, this panel is going to focus on the three of our experiences, and we'll start with introductions. So, first off, my name is Ayantu Kapeda. I'm currently doing my master's studies in information science, and I just joined OLLAA this June. So, Dereje, you could introduce yourself next.
Yes, thank you, Ayantu. My name is Derajeta Mrudame, and I'm currently based in Germany doing my PhD at University of Bonn. I joined OLA last year, December in 2021, and volunteering since in Department of Advocacy, mainly working on archiving, on documenting main news from different media that relate to abuse and the violation of human rights in Ethiopia, more specifically on Oromo peoples in the country.
Thank you, Dereje, for joining and introducing yourself, Sartu.
Hi, my name is Sarj Mohammed. I'm an undergraduate student here in Canada, and I joined OLLA's education department almost a year ago.
Okay, so to start off, we can just get into how you guys heard about OLLAA and how you made your decision to join. Sartu, you can start us off.
Okay. How did I hear about OLLAA? I heard about OLLAA because I saw them on social media, and I saw that they were having Upon Oromo classes. So I ended up taking one of their earlier Upon Oromo classes in 2020. So that's how I heard about them. I decided to get involved. I was actually reached out to like last year because I was going to volunteer. I was going to volunteer, but then the timing didn't work out for me. And then about 2 months later, somebody reached out to me, and then that's how I got involved.
Okay. Dereje, you can add on to your experience.
Yeah, I came to in general. I know Ola since somehow it's established, and I follow Ola on Facebook on their websites, and sometimes I used to read what they release also. But I started working with Ola from December last year, but I came to know more specifically more closely when Oromo United Oromo in Germany contacted me to have a training in France for 1 week on advocacy of human right advocacy, and then after I had my training, I started working with Ola. Uh, in Department of Advocacy now. Yeah.
Um, for myself, I initially have heard about OLLAA through their social media sites and through their postings. But they had an event in DC about, I think, 2 years ago now. And so I joined them for that event and met with Sena and a couple other people, Ayantu, during the time. And now that I'm doing like communications related work, I decided to reach out to OLLAA and get involved. Yeah, so what do you guys do at OLLAA, and how did you choose your specific departments? Deraji, you can start this one.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, I had a training in France in Strasbourg in September 2021, which focuses on advocacy of human rights for users, and then I decided to work for OLLAA or volunteer for OLLAA in Department of Advocacy, and currently I'm working on the projects of archiving or documenting and making a report out of that, documenting human rights abuses and violation in Ethiopia and more specifically in Oromia. Basically, what I'm doing is I just listen and read different news produced by different media from Ethiopia, also from other country, also which mainly focus on human rights abuses or human rights violation, and then I document this news, their link, and so that we use for the future as a data to produce reports and others also. And I also for example, if the news is reported in Afan Oromo, I translate to English and put and document it. And or if the news is produced by Amharic, also I translate that to English and document it. And this is really important work because we need to know the data of how many people are injured, how many people are killed every day. So it's very important data we are documenting now.
Would you say most of the work that you do is done individually or collectively?
Mainly, we it's both. So when I start, we start doing collectively with another team. Also, we do together. We listen to news together, or we see news together, and then we document it. And it's also possible to do individually. I sometimes when I got a very hot news, I listen it or I read it, and then I document it. And so it is both collectively and individually also.
Hmm. Okay, then Sartu, I know you work in the education department and sometimes in communications as well. So, how did you decide on that department, and what more do you do with OLLAA specifically?
Okay. I only recently joined communications like a month ago or so.
Hmm.
So in education, I help with coordination. So that includes um, communicating with people that take our classes, helping to run the classes from start to finish. Um, what else? That includes sometimes making flyers. I mean, I kind of do a lot of different things. But if somebody were to join, they could specifically focus on one thing. But I would say mainly in education, we run the classes. So right now we have fun Oromo classes, we have our Gada system class. So kind of starting those, coordinating those, um, doing different things related to the class, and just carrying it from start to finish. In communications, it's more so like creating flyers and posts and things like that related more to social media. And how did I choose my specific department? I knew that I wanted to help or volunteer in education because I had taken their classes. So I really enjoyed the atmosphere and being in the classes. So I knew that that's what I wanted to help out in. Um, yeah, I knew that I wanted to help on education and not with the other stuff.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I can expand a little bit on the communications part of OLLAA. So I just started, so I'm still getting used to the flow of everything on our team. Um, but Sartu, like you said, we do a lot of promotions, so creating posts, um, throughout all the different social media platforms. Specifically, what I've been working on is like these panel discussions, trying to come up with different topics that people in the Oromo community, outside of the Oromo community, would be interested to hear about. Um, and then we also have our monthly highlight series where we highlight a person in our community and share that with the Oromo through the OLLAA newsletter. Um, what would you guys say is your weekly time commitment like? I know like hosting classes and promoting classes or collecting information like you do, Daraje, it seems that it takes a lot of time, but what would you guys say is your time commitment like?
For me, normally I commit 3 hours per week. That is the what I dedicate for it. But beyond that, I also, whenever I see news, when I see social media, and if I find news, then I go to the documentation and I document it. But I dedicate 3 hours per week. Since I'm also busy, I'm doing my PhD.
Yeah.
So somehow I hope this 3 hours is enough. And but still we are looking for uh, additional people on this work, and maybe we'll talk later on.
Yeah. Sartu?
I would say for me, just because I volunteer in two departments now, my time commitment has gone up. So I would say it's like maybe four. Actually, no. Right now, it's probably 5 hours a week. Yeah,
Okay.
but like for somebody that is like a TA or something, it would be a lot less. It's just we have a lot of classes at the moment, so where we're busy in education. We have our
Yeah,
teen class, and then we have our adult class, and then we have our good system class. So yeah, we're busy. I would say for the average like volunteer, it wouldn't be that much. It would be less.
okay. Yeah, I would say I'm on the other end of you guys. I do 15 hours a week for OLA through the communications department. But I think from our different experiences, what this means is that if you're able to volunteer just 1 hour a week, 2 hours a week, or if you have time to dedicate even more time, there's an option for people to do that. So I think OLA is really great in that, they work with your schedule. If you're in school, if you're working, it really is just something that can be worked around. So, yeah, there's a lot of different options there. What would you guys say you've learned from your time at OLA? I know, Sartu, you've been with OLA for a while, and Daraja, you as well. So, Sartu, you can start us off.
Okay, what have I learned? I think um, I think responsibility. You learn to take on responsibility and kind of be accountable for what you do, um, because you're given tasks and then you have that responsibility to complete them and try to do your best, with the tasks that you're given. Um, uh, so I would say for me, when we run the classes, um, like after a certain point, we kind of we started to run them ourselves without our director. So you gain that responsibility and the trust of the people that you're working with or volunteering with. They have that
Mhm.
trust in you that they can give you something and that you're going to do a good job, and take it on and do your best. So I would say learning to work with others, people skills, learning how to communicate with different people, working in a team environment. I would say that these skills are, these are transferable skills that you can learn, and um, you know, whatever job you go into, whatever you want to do later on, these are things that will help you. So you learn transferable skills here at OLA.
For sure, I definitely agree with that. Daraja, do you have anything to add on?
Yes, first of all, I'm very happy for working on this project because it is something which was in my mind because we know that since Oromo struggle started, there are many Oromos are dying and continue dying. But there is a shortage of data always. If it is, let's say, to produce a scientific paper or if to produce a report or even if we need to memorize our victims. So we need data with a tangible source and whenever we need it. So it's something in my mind. Then I am really happy to do that, to documenting victims or any human rights violation in Ethiopia. I always get a great satisfaction when I work in this project. Every week I work. Secondly, OLLAA helps me to get to know with many peoples from USA, from Germany. So it's really helpful. It's broadened my networks and it's so very helpful. Yeah, not only individuals, and I used to get to know also different organizations such as UNPOs and many other organization, other human rights organization also. So working with OLA in general helps me to broaden my networks with other peoples. Look at I get to know you. If Allah was not there, the chance I know you or the chance I may work with you may be low, right? So it's so great to work here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. So far working through OLA, like I said, we have a lot of different departments and a lot of people working in those departments. But also just in my own experience with creating panels, there's a lot of people that I have to reach out to, communicate with. And so I am forming those connections as well, which has been really rewarding. Before OLA, I would partake in my community's youth organization. And so that was very rewarding. It's always nice to partake in something that's related to our culture. And so working through OLAs has just like broadened that and like meeting so many other people and organizations, like Daraje said. And so too, I also agree that there's a lot of skills that we are working on through OLA, soft skills and technical skills that are definitely transferable to future projects and future work environments. Um, so what would you guys say has been a project that you've worked on? I know, Daraji, the one you're working on right now is like very enjoyable for you. But have there been any other projects that you've worked on that you really enjoyed, and Sartu for you as well? Is there anything that you particularly enjoy with working through OLA? And we can start with you, Sartu.
Mm, okay, something I've enjoyed. I mean, I enjoy all of our classes. They're like little. I feel like every single group is like a little family. Like whether it be the kids class or the adult class or the cadet class. Like I really enjoy seeing it go from start to finish, and people's growth in whatever class they're in. I mean, I personally enjoy the kids class the most. I think kids are so funny. Um, so I really enjoy that class. But I would say joining communications has been something new for me. I didn't really think I had the capability to do what we do in communications, like posts and this and that. So I like that. It's something new that I've gotten into. So I would say being in communications, I've enjoyed that, like getting into my more creative side. So yeah, because I've been doing the classes for a while now. So something new has been fun.
That's great to hear. Daraji, what about you?
Yes, I have already said what the benefit and the what all I helped me in this project. But what I want to mention at this point is we are working on another project which is coming soon. It's with youth department. We want to establish European youth organization, which is really connected with other uses in other part of the world, also such as Oromo uses in Australia, Oromo uses in United States, and Oromo uses in Canada. So I'm really looking forward for this project, and yeah, this very nice one, and I'm happy about this also.
Great. Um, so again, since I've only worked with OLLAA for maybe 3, 4 weeks now, so um, I don't have too much experience, but I would say putting on panels and reaching out to people to collaborate with us on panels has been very rewarding and something that I really enjoy doing. Um, I would definitely like to do more panels, hopefully with a wider audience, and a whole bunch of different topics. So I think I look forward to that. Um, I know something that we've been talking about is youth engagement specifically, and trying to get more people to either work through OLLAA, volunteer, that kind of thing. And what would you guys want potential volunteers or interns to know? Dorje, you can start us off.
Yes, this is a nice point, and I would like to inform the potential volunteers or the potential interns. First, I would the peoples, especially the Oromo peoples in Oromia, are they do not have the voice. So we have to be a voice for voiceless peoples. And in these Western countries, we have freedom. We have to some extent we have resources also. So we can use our knowledge, our resource for peoples who do not have a voice. We need to be a voice for voiceless for our voiceless brothers and sisters back in Oromia, and we should not ignore this totally because they are our sisters and the brothers who are now saluted, who are killed, who are abused daily. A number of significant children and the youths are abused there now. So we have to be a voice for them, for those voiceless peoples, our brothers and sisters in back home. So in this regard, users should join us at least for a week, maybe should join OLA for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours per week, as much as they can. And the second point is they will get again they will get a handful of experience working with OLA, and maybe if they need certificate or they need something like as internship also, that's helpful in general. If they join OLA, they will get a handful experiences in this regard. So, and the third point is you like we did. I came to know many people since I joined Ola since last 6 months. So if they join Ola, if the users join Ola from this initial, they will broaden their network. So when I say network, individual network, get to know potential individuals or organization also through Ola. So for this main three things, users or any potential volunteers and interns should join and want to know, they should know these 3 points.
I think that's a good point there, Jay. Sartu, what about you? What would you want potential interns or volunteers to know?
I would want them to know that um, what we choose or how we choose to, spend our time is very important. So I would say spend your time wisely, do something that you um, find meaningful and interesting, and hopefully that is volunteering at OLA. But I would say that OLA is very flexible. There are many departments, and time commitment can be very minimal to 1 to 2 hours a week to more if you're able to. But it's very flexible, and you can cater it to whatever is going on in your life, if you're working or if you're in school. It really depends on your interests. So I think that's really important for Oromos in the diaspora to get involved with an organization such as OLLAA and, have some sort of meaningful contribution to your people and whatnot. And even non Oromos that are interested um, in, Oromo specific projects or, education or communications, things like that. There's always a spot for you here at OLLAA. So if you're ever interested, when the time or when you're, whatever's going on in your life, when your schedule is available, um, come out and volunteer.
Definitely. And I just want to add on that there are so many different opportunities. So if you're interested in education, or if you're interested in history, if you're interested in research, if you're interested in design or communications, I think there's just a lot of opportunities to be matched with your interests. So, um, yeah, I would definitely want potential volunteers, interns to know that. And again, like the time commitment is flexible as well. So it's, I think, a really rewarding experience to work in a nonprofit to get that kind of experience. And again, like we said before, it's definitely transferable to other spaces as well. Um, are there any other points that either of you want to touch on? Something we can elaborate on further?
Maybe some points just on this why the volunteers or interns should be more interested. I mean, we in general, I think we have a plenty of non-Oromo volunteers and interns. What I see, especially uses, we have plenty of non-Oromos, and it's a question for me why Oromos are not participating for their issues. Huh? It is a little bit somehow disappointing, and this should be reversed now. We should have or plenty of Oromo peoples should work with us so that they can voice for non-voiceless of for sisters, and because why we had or we have now currently non-Oromos, especially, or even most of them are non-African. So why non-Oromos are not there? Why Oromos are not there? So we need more of Oromo users. We need more involvement of Oromo peoples in as intern or as volunteers. Mm, yeah.
Definitely. I think in an advocacy space, it's can be difficult to motivate people to, be consistent and be active over a long period of time.
Mhm.
So getting other Oromo folks to be involved in this work as well is definitely something OLA is trying to find ways to engage people. Um, both of you have been here for a while, so can you talk about what what has made you stay for this long, or um, what have you? Yeah, I guess what has made you stay and do continue this work?
That's a
Can you
good
say it
question.
again? I'm sorry. Would you say it again? So
Yeah, yeah. So the question is, both of you have been working with Ola for some time now. So what has motivated you to continue doing the work?
yeah.
Yeah, Sartre, you can start us off.
Okay. That's a really good question because I feel like being consistent is difficult, especially when you're volunteering. I feel like sometimes people are looking for sort of like a trade, like you give something, you get something. Whereas when you volunteer, you don't get anything. I mean, you get other things, as in like
Hmm.
internal, I don't know, pleasure. I don't know how to word it, but I would say I think that what's kept me here this long is just my own like intrinsic motivation. Like I want to do it, so I'm
Hmm.
here. But if I didn't want to do it, then I wouldn't be here. And I find that I really love the environment. I really love the classes. Like I love education. Um, where and the teachers are great, the students are great, and you build so many meaningful connections to the people in the class, and you make new friends. Like I really love that interaction, and getting to be a part of that. And I mean, I also learned myself too. You know, I've learned a lot about the Gada class or the Gada system, and even like I've improved my Fan Oromo since joining. So you don't need to know a Fan Oromo to volunteer with us. You definitely can learn in education,
That's true.
join, and be a part of our classes. So I would say, yeah, intrinsic motivation. I think that you need to find the good in what you do, and it's not a lot out of your week. It's not a lot out of the month if you really look at it. So use your time for something meaningful, and you'll gain a lot that you don't think that you would gain along the way. So.
It definitely makes sense. Yeah. Dirje, how about you? You can add on.
Yeah, thank you, Ayantu. I mean, as I also working in advocacy department and working on the human rights violation, I am more getting motivated and motivated because I read every day the worst news, and the things are getting worse and worse, and the killing, the abuse of women, children, and the others, and so on are getting worse and not getting better. So I'm very motivated. So I'm working here, or I'm doing these things because I'm here. If I'm in Ethiopia 5 years ago, I was in Ethiopia, and it's not possible to do such things. So as far as the killing, as far as the abuse of human rights, as far as injure injuries of Oromo people is continued, I have to advocate human rights violation in Ethiopia. So as far as these things continued, as far as the violation of human rights continued in Ethiopia, nothing. We should not stop. We need more energy, and we need more enthusiasm, and we need more people, so that these things should reverse, and human beings, Oromo people should also respect it as everyone. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good point. I think when you see what's going on back home, and also like realizing the amount of freedom that we have here and throughout the diaspora in Western countries and elsewhere, um, I mean that easily can be a motivator to continue doing the work, whether that's on your own or through an organization. So I definitely agree with that point. Um, Trying to see here. Are there any other thoughts that you guys have that maybe we could touch on?
I want to little bit elaborate what you have said now. When we live in these Western countries, we have full freedom. So, and everybody deserves this freedom to some extent. Anybody, Oromo peoples also deserve this freedom, and the freedom comes through struggle, not by. Nobody gives you freedom. You get your freedom by fighting, and you keep it by fighting also. So as we have freedom, as you all have freedom, and the Oromo peoples back home also need freedom. So we need to fight for their freedom. Yeah, this point I want to stress. Maybe the second point, if we are on that point, as I said, we want to establish European youth community or European youth organization. So users, maybe I appreciate, or I am begging for users to join OLLAA, so that we make this dream true, and work for our brothers and sisters who are back in home.
Okay. We have a question from the comments. How do we teach our kids together Afan Oromo, English language? Kids are learning that at school. How do we focus more on teaching them Afan Oromo? Um, Sartu, as you are in that space, um, what are your
Yeah,
thoughts
definitely.
on that?
Um, yeah, that's an important point. You know, in the West, you learn English at school. I would say I found almost starts in the home. As a parent, if you want your kids to learn Afan Oromo, yes, there, you know, you can outsource and we have classes at OLLAA. But Afan Oromo starts in the home, using it, speaking to your kids in Afan Oromo, you know, so that they at least can understand. And then through you speaking to them, they can pick up vocabulary and be able to speak back to you. Like for myself, you know, at home, my mom does primarily speak to me in Afan Oromo. So even if I didn't really respond to her much when I was growing up, I would respond in English. At least, you know, she kept at it and still spoke to me in Afan Oromo. So that gave me the basis of what I know today. And you know, I'm able to converse with people because of her speaking to me in a paranormal like my whole life. So I would say it starts in the home as a parent. Try to incorporate Fan Oromo. Maybe make a rule where you know the kids speak English at school, but then when they come home, a Fan Oromo. So you can create that sort of um, that distinction between school and home, or even just teaching them little things every day. You know, this house is this, school is this, and a fun oromo and whatnot. So if it hasn't been incorporated yet, incorporate it slowly. But if you have been using a fun oromo at home, then keep at it, and that's what will help you know your kids in the long run.
I can definitely relate to that experience of having parents speak to you in, you know, in Afan Oromo and then answering in English and being able to hear and say hello and things like that
Yeah.
with people. But, you know, I think language holds so much of the culture. Um, so being able to speak Afan Oromo definitely is something, you know, everyone should try to prioritize. And I definitely agree in the home is the easiest place to start that. Through the music, listening to music, hearing just like Afan Oromo news, those kinds of things definitely helps with understanding and speaking. Daraji, do you have any thoughts on that, on learning Afan Oromo?
You're muted.
Oh,
Sorry. Yeah. Learning of Romo is also not difficult, and I would say it's a must to learn. Also, we have to teach our children, and we have to also learn. And for this, we have very motivating musics in Afan which can really teach us Afan So listening Ajalu's music, listening to this music may also help, and the talking is also very important. And I would say learning Afan is very, very important.
agreed. We have another question from the comments asking, can we participate for volunteer? And the answer is yes, of course, you can volunteer with OLLAA if you go to our website, OLLAA.org. There is a space there where you can sign up to volunteer, and it'll ask you to fill out some information about yourself, and we'll get back to you and take it from there. Again, like we've talked about, there's a lot of different spaces that people can volunteer in. So just reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to get you on board. Let's see. Do you either of you want to just touch on what your onboarding experience was like? Um, if you can remember that, I don't think it was it's too long ago.
For me, the onboarding experience, I initially wanted to be a TA for the kids class, but then my schedule didn't work out. So then I was reached out to later to help out with one of the adult classes. The onboarding experience was just I had a meeting with the director um, of education, and we spoke for about an hour, and then that was it. I was on. So I would say with volunteers now, um, you would have an interview with somebody from the department you're trying to volunteer in. If that's advocacy, there is a person for advocacy that screens advocacy volunteers. Um, Whereas with other departments, like if you wanted to volunteer in education, I would probably be the person to reach out to you and have a meeting with them, and you kind of just in that meeting, you're just asked about, okay, why do you want to volunteer? What do you want to do? What are your interests? Just so we can like place you where we think it would be most appropriate given, the time commitment that you say you can commit to, and what you can do. So,
Great. I think that describes that process perfectly. It was very similar for myself. And we have touched on all of our questions. Are there any final thoughts that you guys want to bring up before we wrap up? Okay. I will take that as a no. Thank you guys so much for joining this panel discussion and sharing your experiences. Thank you to everyone who watched this live. It'll be available on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube page as well. So, yeah, that concludes our panel today. Thank you guys again.
Thank you, Ayantu. Thank you, Sartu.
thank you both.